Hi, uh, today I want to make a video to answer one question that I got in response at a live that I made last week. And this is explaining the question was about domain-specific languages. So today I want to make a short video to explain what a domain-specific language is. And essentially, a domain-specific language is a language, and that part is not surprising. It's a language that you can use to express something very precisely. And maybe we can think about another kind of interaction that we currently have many days, that is with LLMs. With LLMs, we use natural language in a similar way to how we communicate with fellow human beings. We just use natural language. And natural language is very convenient because it's very flexible, because we are familiar with it. But it has the drawback of not being very precise. So you can say things and you may intend to communicate something, but there is space for interpretation. So the person who hear what you're saying could interpret it differently from what you are expecting. In some cases, it's because of the interpretation. In some cases, you're just saying things that are vague. So you say, oh, I don't know, I got many leads. Many leads to someone may mean 1,000 leads per day, to someone else may mean 20 leads per year. So there is vagueness. And also, it doesn't protect you from inconsistencies. So you could say something that doesn't make any sense. So it's something that exposes you to some risk of being something that doesn't make sense, something that is misinterpreted, or something that is not precise enough. Instead, domain-specific languages are languages that we design to communicate with computers or software or automated systems that have some rules that force us to say only things that are internally consistent, to be extremely precise, otherwise the system will reject what you're trying to say. So in this sense, they are extremely similar to programming languages. So you can think of domain-specific languages as specialized programming languages. The difference with programming languages is that they are specialized, and because they're specialized, it's more important being familiar with the domain than being a developer. So domain-specific languages, depending on the nature of the language, but typically are designed to be used by someone who is not a developer, someone who needs to express something precisely. For example, we have been recently working on a domain-specific language for marketing automation. So marketing experts were describing the rules of a promotion. When this happens, we want to produce this coupon, for example, or send this email, or give out this prize. And only if these kind of actions happen within 2 weeks, or every Thursday after 5 p.m. They could express rules like these, rules to make themselves make sense. Be sure that the system will understand it, because the language is constrained. It only allows you to express something that is internally consistent. And so they could turn themselves in sort of very specialized developers. So they can do things for which before they needed the help of developers. Now, I think in this time and era, there is some confusion between a potential overlap between DSLs and LLMs, because in LLMs, you can communicate something to an LLM without being a developer. You just write what you want. Then the LLMs by nature could only reply by generating some text, but now they're trying to attach it to other systems that they can do things. They can trigger some actions in external systems. However, that is currently risky because basically LLMs can misinterpret things, can do things wrong, and they are completely black boxes, so you don't have a way to check their understanding. And so that is a little bit risky, in my opinion. On the other hand, DSLs requires, well, to be designed, so it's an effort. This is the kind of things you pay our company to do for you. And it's also requires some effort for learning the domain-specific language. So there are pros and cons. I think that a direction that is interesting is using LLMs to generate some DSL code that you can look at, validate. So in this sense, breaking the black box, and then you can execute this DSL, which is inspectable, is verifiable, is debuggable. So that could be a way to combine the best of two systems, the easiness of interaction, of using the natural language without the drawbacks of possible misinterpretation, and an interpretation that you do not have access to, you cannot expect, you cannot verify. So just food for thoughts, and now I'm jumping in the next meeting. But as always, if you have feedback, if you have questions, if you're curious about anything, please just let me know. I'm happy to get new ideas for the next slide. Thank you. Bye.